When I first started the Miami Bass History Project, I really had one goal, and that was to expose the innovations, um, the quirkiness, sometimes the just power of the music that I felt growing up. And over time, as I got to researching it, I realized the story was less about the innovations themselves and more about why the innovations never occurred, why they didn't reach the surface, why they didn't reach the audience. And the main person that really made me aware of that was interviewing DXJ several times. And over time, I certainly got to understand that it's the business behind the music that prevents the music from reaching its source, reaching critical acclaim as much as commercial acclaim. So I really wanted to sit today and have a conversation directly with you, because I still don't feel I can do it justice. You've been there, at least published as an electro/bass artist since 1983, certainly working before that. So you've seen pretty much all the inner workings of all the labels. You have a great perspective on the majors versus the indies, where the money was coming from, why the money dried up, and I really wanted to have a moment with you for that. Starting from your first records, PB Floyd being the man that helped you or partnered with you for your first. That had to be an induction. That had to be something that taught you.
Yeah, because your perception when you're outside of the industry, you have one perception. I'm quite sure you had that.
Sure.
You figured, anything from people sat down there and wrote music on staff sheet, music sheets, and everything was all clockwork, and it wasn't like that. I started learning that really quick. It was just, how could you find money to fund a project? Where could you go record it when you did not have a lot of money behind you to record the project? If you were somebody like how I started, basically as a writer and aspiring to be a producer, how do you get everybody together? How do you get everybody together? How do you get everybody paid? And yeah, I started learning real quick.
Well, the record came out.
That particular record came out. Now, before that, we were doing more, as I've told you before, standard R&B stuff.
Right.
And it's funny that everything kind of came together in what people say like a perfect storm.
Right.
Drum machines were getting cheaper, more common, more people were around to program them.
The LM1.
Exactly. And so then it was immediately, we shifted almost overnight from getting a drummer, finding a drummer, getting a drummer in the studio, miking the drummer, which took up almost the whole studio session, if it was not already set up.
Right.
And then, okay, we got the drums all set up, and then you sat there and just recorded a beat off of a metronome. And it just seemed to take forever.
And this really illustrates the importance and the value of a drum machine overall.
Exactly.
But in hindsight, also, you didn't know where the drum machine was, who programmed it, how it got there was all a mystery to you.
Yeah, when it came to at that time, it still was kind of viewed as a toy. It was like we need to get drummers to do stuff. But once we decided to do something that wasn't standard, normal, typical R&B at the moment, which is funny, at that time, 81, 82, R&B, funk music was in a state of turmoil anyway. Larger bands were consolidating down. The money wasn't there anymore for that business,
right.
for that genre rather. And so we had idea to do street songs because we started seeing the Tommy Boy stuff.
And
without a doubt.
Was that you and PB or
Me and
someone
Floyd.
else?
Me and Floyd. Yeah, it got to be the point where it's like, look, this is what's going on right now. Not the big band production, late 70s mode of doing things. This seems to be it. And of course, it was kind of looked down on, not in a bad way by him, and to maybe a certain point me at the time is like, although I liked it, because of course at the time I was also a DJ at a skating rink. And so I knew that's what younger people wanted. They really weren't too into what was perhaps late disco era, leftover 70s funk bands kind of stuff. It was Tommy Boy, Planet Rock.
So when the record came out, you decided to go a different direction, not work with Floyd again.
Right.
Why was that?
Well, once we did, you're talking about when we did Computer Funk.
Computer Funk
Right.
to Computer Pop.
From Computer Funk to Computer Pop, there was a divestiture for several reasons. Most of them, the cliched one where, where's my money? You know, I was there working in the beginning. We were all there. This was supposed to be 50-50, and now we have some success. And oh, you're trying to keep me guarded and away from the person who was in charge of the label, which was turns out just to be a guy. He was in the business, but it wasn't like a label. It was just a guy doing something on the side, a small independent label.
LC Sneed.
LC Sneed, exactly, with Bound Sound Records.
Who was working for Warner Brothers for his real gig.
He was working for Warner Brothers as a promotion person. So I took it upon myself to look up LC myself and made my own connection from him. So from that point on, you know, I didn't deal with PB Floyd. I know I've told you this before. I've told other people. The follow-up record was going to be like a Shalimar record. I mean, that's where his mindset was at the time.
When you say the follow-up, you mean PB's vision?
Vision of the next follow-up to Osei Computer Funk. It was totally in a different direction. He was auditioning a guy and a girl to be singers and dancers to perform, which is fine. I understand that part of it. But the idea for the song to go from something like Computer Funk to second time around sounding, it didn't make any sense to me.